وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَجَمَعْنَاهُمْ جَمْعًا. Suratul-Kahfi, Surah number 18, Ayat number 99. What a beautiful verse and what a difficult verse. If I were to choose one adjective out of the two, I will choose the word beautiful. وَتَرَكْنَا, and we left, بَعْضَهُمْ, some of them, يَوْمَئِذٍ, till then and on that day. We'll explain this part. Yamuju, surging like waves, fi ba'azin, into some others. Wanufika, and then later it is blown, fi al-suri or fis-suri, into the trumpet. For then jama'nahum, we will gather them jam'an, in a single gathering. The translation seems to be easy. Where is the difficulty and where is the beauty? Let's explore. وَتَرَكْنَا, and we left بَعْضَهُمْ, some of them. So the Arabic construct, many times the words ba'd and ba'd, ba'd and ba'd appear together. So if there is something that can be divided into two parts, I mean, if it's a collective thing and it can be divided into two parts, then each of the parts are ba'd. That is how it is referenced. Some and some, so that's the whole. So in that context, ba'azahum, some of them, yawma idhin, yawm is day, idhin, the word, yawma idhin, the word is sort of tricky. Let's try to develop a sense of this. It's not easy to do so, especially because the translators have treated it in a similar manner, and according to me, that does not capture the entire meaning, so that causes some of the difficulties. Yawma, day, and idhin. Now the word idhin is connected to the word idha, these words. It has the meaning of when, it has the meaning of then. If we understand that, then we'll be able to derive the meaning of yawma idhin, till then and on that day. Something like that. Yawma idhin, till then and on that day. So it's talking about a day in the future, from this point of time till that day, and also that day is inclusive of that. So that is the meaning. This meaning will not be applicable everywhere this word occurs, but in this case, yes, that is the implicit meaning. If we don't infer it this way, if we don't derive it, if this is not the implied meaning, the full meaning will not be captured. Yamuju. Now this word mawaja, the verb form maja, and the noun form mauj. The verb form means to surge like a wave, to surge like waves, and mauj means wave or waves. Simple. So we can translate it like something like surging like waves, fi ba'azin. So one part and the other part, into some others. So some of them will surge like waves into some others. We'll explain this part a little bit more. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ. This part is so difficult. Okay, there are multiple things happening. We'll have to treat it as three separate parts, this sentence. Otherwise, it will become overly complex. Now, it is talking about the Gog and Magog people, which is 999 out of every 1000. Without that ratio proportion, you are clueless what's happening. So Gog and Magog people, this verse, the wrong interpretation of this verse has caused the translators, the scholars, to misinterpret the text of the Quran as well as the Hadith, though that is very clear. They think the Gog and Magog will not be released till it is very close to the doomsday. That is not the case. The Gog and Magog were released a long time back. That is documented in the Hadith, in the statements of the Prophet Muhammad, where he hinted that, and during the Caliphate, the Rashidun Caliphate, the rightly guided Caliphate era, that the wall was no more. I think we have not yet discussed that, but we'll do so in a separate session, not in the Surah-Kahf series. So, Yamuju, so what does it mean? What is the allegory being described over here? That some of them till then and on that day, surging like waves into some others. Why is the wave analogy being given at all? Think of sea. If you've gone to the beach and you've seen the sea, the waves, they come one after the other, right? They come one after the other. That is what happens. That is one aspect of it. And secondly, the wave which is now receding, it sort of diffuses the wave that is coming. Get it? The wave that had come before, that now it is receding and it crashes into the wave that is coming next. So sort of diffuses it. So what will happen, what is the analogy that is being described over here is something like this, that the Gog and Magog people, their release or their perpetration of destruction, fasad, will not be at one go. It will be like waves. They will be surging like waves and also crashing into some others, the Gog and Magog people. So they will crash into each other. They will crash into one another. That is what is being referred to over here. Why would that happen? Because Gog and Magog, both the groups, have ambitions of global domination. So as a whole, they perpetrate fasad, they perpetrate destruction, but even individually, the two groups, they have their own ambition to sort of become the dominant force in the world, and hence there will be internal conflict as well. There cannot be a better analogy than this, what Allah has described. Beautiful, beautiful analogy. And Yawmaidhin I have explained. So till then and on that day, surging like waves into some others. They're crashing into each other. They're crashing into one another. Now that clarifies the text in this surah in conjunction with the text in Surah Anbiya, chapter 21, verse 95-96, as well as the text of the hadith. It brings them all together and it becomes, what should I say, it fits like a hand in a glove. The scattered pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, they come together. The dots, they now seem to be connected. So these are the ways I'm trying to explain how it all fits together. All good. Till then and on that day. So till then they will be surging like waves, one after the other, one after the other. And also on that day, the final surge. And also they have crashed into each other during this history. And the final clash between Gog and Magog will happen at that time, surging like waves into some others. If we have described this, normally if you've observed the construction of sentences in the Arabic language, when certain verses contain multiple sentences, if a timeline event is connected, the word fa is often used. But we find the word wow after this, immediately after this first part. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ. Why is that? That is my question to you. That is because two different events are being explained altogether. You cannot understand it. So it starts with a wow. It starts with a wow. The first part starts with a wow. The second part of the sentence starts with a wow. The third part starts with a fa. And there is a reason. It's not by accident. The first part, wow, is obvious. We need not discuss that. The second wow, where sort of a fa is expected, it means it's not and basically. There is a timeline gap. And they want to cut off the event. They don't even want to use the word thumma over here. It's not merely a then. It's not a timeline event, whether immediately or delayed. No, it's a separate event that is being discussed altogether, and that necessitates a wow. Once I explain it, it will become a little more clear to you. Wow. And then later. So time gap is there, but a separate scenario, a separate world, a separate reality is being described over here. And then later, Nufikha fi sur, the trumpet is blown. Is that how you translate this part of the sentence? All the translators, the exact same translation? And that translation is wrong, by the way. And we will tell you what the correct translation is. It's a shame on you. You copy paste randomly, blatantly, shamelessly, and you think you will be saved. No one is there to sort of hold you accountable. No one can point a mistake at you. Sorry, we are here to do that. We will not let the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be distorted and be presented in a distorted manner. We will not let that happen. It does not mean the trumpet will be blown. No, it doesn't mean that. We'll explain what it means. And everyone has done the same translation. So, you have 10 translations in front of you, and you have ambition to be recognized in the world as a translator. You average out the 10 translations, generate the 11 translation. That doesn't work. That doesn't work with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What happens is, the average of all the 10 mistakes is a mistake, is another mistake, is an error. You might not have done that. At least the curse of Allah would not have befallen upon you. Shameless, mindless copy pasting. Wanufika, it is in the passive form. Nafaka, to blow, he blowed. Nufika. Now you don't say he was blown, it was blown. It was blown. It was blown. What was blown, we will see. It was blown. Fi al-suri, fi suri. It was blown into the trumpet. Now, sur, you can keep it sur, you can keep it trumpet, horn, bugle, translate it whatever way you want, because this is something we don't know the exact reality thereof. So, we can actually use a similar sort of tangible instrument that we are aware of and substitute that. That is not the problem. You translate it is trumpet, no problem. Horn, no problem. Bugle, no problem. You keep it sur, no problem. It is blown into the trumpet. Vanufika fesur, and then later. So it's not talking about the world now. It's talking about the moment just before that moment when Israfil al-Islam, one of the 4 archangels, he will be ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to blow the trumpet. And in that context, so it's, and then later, so it's that the chapter of the world is over. And then later, it is blown, and then later, that is why the vow is there, it is blown into the trumpet. Now my question to you, in the space, there is no air. What will you blow? What will you blow? So the trumpet was blown, and it will be blown into the trumpet is very different. Here on the earth, the trumpet is blown, you blow air into the trumpet and it produces sound. In the space, there is no air, there is vacuum. What will be blown? Something will be blown. What is that something? Not mentioned, because you don't know. Neither are you required to know. That information will not benefit you. Leave it at that. It is blown into the trumpet. Something is blown into the trumpet. And even if it is blown, how does the sound reach you? The sound waves cannot form in vacuum. So these realities are beyond our understanding. And the Arabic construct preserves that. But we mess it up with the translation. Why do we mess it up? Because we are copy pasting, busy copy pasting, shamelessly from others and producing another translation so that we may be recognized as a scholar of Islam and a translator of the Quran. Not for any other purpose. How can the same mistake permeate through all the existing translations in the world? Tell me. One nufika fi sur, and it is blown, and then later it is blown into the trumpet. What a beautiful piece of information. If the first part was beautiful, the second part is even more beautiful. And then later, it is blown into the trumpet. What is blown, how it produces sound, how the resurrection happens because of that. You don't understand that. Don't have to understand that. But that exact event is being described over here without altering the meaning. You don't alter that. You don't alter the words of Allah. You don't alter the intended meaning of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't do that. You keep it what it is. What is beyond you, but you preserve the text as much as possible, to the extent it's possible, to the best of your ability. And if you don't know Arabic, why do you attempt to translate even? And then later it is blown into the trumpet. Fa is used now because that event, that timeline event now continues. So a fa is required. Then, nothing else. Then, because the second part and the third part are connected through a timeline event. For then, we will gather them. Jama'nahum. Jama'nahum. We will gather them. Jama'an, in a single gathering. People have translated, we'll gather them all together. It's okay, though I don't prefer that. Why? Because Jama and Jama is used, the same word is used. So the same word preferably should be used in the English language to represent the two sequences, the two words. Derived forms, but the root word is Jama. So don't use two different words. Though in the English language the meaning is conveyed, I agree with that. We will gather them all together. The meaning is conveyed, but you try to use, if it's possible to use, try to use the same word, gather and gather. And because the form is different, whatever variation that will arise because of the construct will arise. But the root word gather, try to preserve that. Then we will gather them in a single gathering. Jam'an is in a singular form. Then we will gather them in a single gathering. So third part is, so this part is also beautiful. Jama'na jam'an, jama'nahum jam'an. فَجَمَعْنَاهُمْ جَمْعًا. This part is also beautiful. The construct itself is beautiful in the Arabic language, but mind-blowing. Which one? The second part as well as the first part. Mind-blowing. Second part is the surreal part. We don't understand that. And the first part is the worldly part. Even then, it's mind-blowing. With this understanding, or should I also tell you about... No, I'll not. So I'll have a discussion about the wall of Zulkarnain al-Islam, the wall of Zulkarnain al-Islam, and the wall is no more, and the historical, all sorts of references. We'll have a separate discussion. That will be better, because that's a topic by itself. That does not hamper our understanding of this chapter, this surah. It doesn't. So we'll treat that as a separate subject, inshallah. So with this understanding, then we will read this verse one more time, as we always do, and then read the translation, and the way you will enjoy it now is far beyond what you have ever experienced as far as this verse is concerned. And you can compare that with the existing translations. وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَجَمَعْنَاهُمْ جَمْعًا. And we left some of them till then, and on that day surging like waves into some others, and then later it was blown into the trumpet. Then we will gather them in a single gathering.